Hello and welcome to the EPRI Current. I'm your host, Samantha Gilman, and today we're talking about a topic possibly unexpected, fish migration. Now here at EPRI, we do research on every aspect of electricity, from generation to delivery to end use, but also to the land used for that generation, delivery, and end use, and the critters on that land, air, and water. So today we're talking with three experts to talk about a project that EPRI recently concluded to help fish migrate through a hydropower dam. Now, our guests today are Paul Jacobson, technical executive at EPRI, Mika Solberg, co-founder of the Fishheart technology, and Michael Melchers, FERC administrator for Santee Cooper. Mika, why don't you tell us a little bit about what Fishheart is?
Thank you, Samantha. Fishheart is an eco-focused company from Finland. We design and build hydraulic floating fishways. And I joined the company as a co-partner 2016.
Paul, why don't you tell us a little bit about what you do at EPRI?
Sure. I'm a fish ecologist by training. And at EPRI, I work on environmental aspects of hydropower. Of course, one of the issues, major issues, and takes a lot of my time and effort, it relates to fish passage, to get fish up and down past hydroelectric facilities.
Wonderful. And Michael, what about your role at Santee Cooper?
Yeah, thanks, Samantha. I'm the FERC administrator for Santee Cooper, which basically means I'm responsible for our compliance efforts for hydroelectric licensing. We own two pretty large hydroelectric lakes in South Carolina, and part of the responsibility that comes with owning these types of assets is licensure through the federal government. And those licenses typically come with a lot of environmental requirements, inclusive of fish passage, which is how we got interested in being a part of this project.
Excellent. So why don't we set the stage for our listeners before we get into the details of the project? So, Paul, at many hydro dams, either there are no fish passage solutions or the use of fish ladders are the solution of choice to transport these migrating fish. So why do we need new solutions?
Well, yes, you're right. Fish ladders is one, and another is fish lifts, which is essentially a elevator for fish that the fish swim into and are lifted up over the dam. The challenges surround the fish lifts and fish ladders. They're designed and constructed in steel and concrete. And as a result, that's time consuming. It's costly. And the resulting structure is permanent with limited flexibility and adaptability. That presents challenges in terms of providing passage for a complex system. Behavior of the fish, the specific characteristics of the river. In the hydro project, it's hard to know in advance how all those things are going to interact, and yet you're building and constructing something permanent in concrete and steel. That has been a ongoing challenge for fish passage. So the Fishheart system is a new development to address some of those challenges.
So speaking of the Fishheart approach, Mika, you're a fisherman yourself, and you stepped up a few years back to help with this innovative idea of the Fishheart approach in Finland, where you are now. And you brought it to the attention of utilities, government entities. What attracted you to the Fishheart idea, and how did you get into that?
I was actually on my way up fishing, and I read a local newspaper in Lapland. There was a small article about 3 centimeters telling about an innovator who has innovated a new thing that will help the fish bypass over dams. And obviously, as a fisherman, I got really interested, and I took my mobile phone. I found Tarmo's number. He was actually living in the same town. I called him and I asked him if he would like to meet me immediately, and we met, talked about 3 hours. I asked Tarmo, do you have any business plan for this? And I found out that he didn't. So I offered him a cooperation, and I went fishing, called a few of my fishing buddies. I said, hey, we have a great new business idea. Do you want to come along? The second guy, Magnus Breitenstein, said, yes, I will come along. So we started a company and started to build this thing together.
It's great. Paul, so hydropower is one of the oldest firm low carbon energy sources. How did EPRI get involved in this new fish technology all the way over in Finland? How did we end up working on this?
As I mentioned, I've been working on this with these conventional technologies for a long time. And a colleague outside of EPRI, who has been working on these problems as well for a long time, brought this technology to my attention. And it seemed like it showed a lot of promise. And so we connected with Mika and Fishheart, and that's what's brought us to where we are now.
So, Michael, let's talk about how Santee Cooper got involved in this. So, for more than 80 years, the Santee Spillway has controlled the water flow from Lake Marion to Santee River. And Santee Cooper has operated the hydropower there in South Carolina for 90 years. Why did Santee Cooper pursue this opportunity to enable the fish migration over the dam?
Sure. Santee Cooper, we are South Carolina's public water and power utility. And as you mentioned, we've got a long history in the state. And Lake Marion and Lake Moultrie, these reservoirs are really the reason we exist in the first place. So need to be a part of that legacy for starters. But the reason we're pursuing fish passage at this location is primarily driven by license compliance obligations. As I mentioned, there are federal obligations that come with operating large hydropower projects, and those tend to come in cycles. So we are operating on our third license for the project. It's a 50-year license, and it lays out a wide variety of different environmental obligations, a lot of them fish-focused. And so one of those requirements is that we implement some form of fish passage at the Santee Dam within about 8 years of receiving our license, which we received back in 2023. Did want to mention, we do have 2 other passage facilities on the system already. So this location is really supplemental to 2 other large operations that we have on lakes already. There's a fish lift that's operated by the Army Corps of Engineers at another location on Lake Moultrie. And then we have a navigational lock that we operate for fish passage as well. So part of the reason for not pursuing passage at this location any sooner is that we already had some solutions in place elsewhere on the same system, if that makes sense. So, but all in all, license compliance obligations and a desire to manage things well for the people of South Carolina. I'm a native South Carolinian myself, and so I want to make sure that we're balancing ecological and energy needs now and into the future.
Absolutely. So I want to understand more about the technology itself, Mika. So fish lift, I can conceptually understand. Fish ladder, also conceptually understand just based on the name. Having no background in hydropower myself. Mika, can you explain what the Fishheart technology actually does?
Yes, I can. So let's say this is the upper reservoir. We take one pipeline. It goes over the dam and down. Down here, we have our floating Fishheart structure, which is actually entry to the fishway. We have different kinds of attraction flows. We attract the fish inside to our system the same way that fish lift attracts fish to their system. Fish swim in. It's identified by our AI, takes video and pictures, analyzes them, starts the operation if we allow it to. So depending on if we have invasive species, we can take them out of the ecosystem with another pipeline to the shore, or if they are fish that are allowed to go over the dam, the operation starts, and with the help of a big pump and the siphon, and siphon is the power, the water comes over, down, and back up again, safely over inside the pipeline, and we help the movement with a big pump.
Got it. So, Paul, we did this demo with Fishheart and Santee Cooper, thanks to a DOE grant. Can you tell us what were the key learnings from this application, and has this been tried elsewhere? Are there key learnings that can be transferred to other installations? Tell us a little bit about sort of what we have found out.
Sure. So the Fishheart had been demonstrated in Scandinavia, but it hadn't been used in North America. And so this project allowed us to test it on there in South Carolina, where a different set of species and in a U.S. hydropower context. And we found that it was effective at attracting and passing a wide variety of fish in terms of species and size. So that was a really important development from this project. We also, I guess, fortunately or unfortunately, we had the opportunity to, the system demonstrated one of its positive attributes, and that is its flexibility in terms of operation. We had a unanticipated major spill, water flow flood event at the site. We were able to remove the system on short notice and take it out of the water, let the floodwaters pass, and put it back in, which you couldn't do with some of the other traditional systems, such as a fish lift or a fish ladder. That ability to put the system in place, operate it, attract and move fish from a wide variety of species and sizes, all on it's costly, but a fraction of the cost of what it would have been to build a concrete and steel structure and hope that it worked right. It was, I think it was a successful and study that has demonstrated a number of valuable things. So we're excited about wrapping up the analysis of the data and producing a report and making all the results more widely known.
And for our listeners out there, if you're interested in learning more about this project, we have a short video on YouTube that will tell you more about the project. We also have an article in our EPRI journal. We'll drop those links in the episode description. So if you want to learn more, just check out the description and those links. I want to say thank you to our three guests for joining me today to talk about this new technology and sort of niche dilemma, I guess, of helping the fish migrate. But before we say goodbye, I'd like to give each of you an opportunity to leave any final thoughts, anything you weren't able to share that you think our listeners would find interesting or valuable. So why don't we go ahead, start with Michael. Any final thoughts for our listeners?
Yeah, it was a pleasure to get to work with the team on this project. We learned a lot. Got to demonstrate the capabilities of the system. I personally learned a lot about fish. I'm a civil engineer by background, so getting to see and handle the various species that we sampled was really enjoyable, and it gave me a better understanding of the native species that we're seeking to help here in South Carolina. So yeah, all in all, it was really an enjoyable experience. And if you get the chance to observe any of the footage that Fishheart and the Mika and his crew captured, it's really, really fascinating stuff.
Excellent. Mika, anything you want to leave with our listeners?
Well, first of all, I want to use this opportunity to thank Michael and Paul and EPRI once more. Obviously, it was great opportunity for us to be able to do this test. As a result of that test, we have got our first big order in United States, which will be probably announced in 2-3 weeks' time. We will have a unit in water starting in May in East Coast, which is obviously, again, a great step forward. We learned a lot in this test. We changed a lot of things for the new unit. We also got, partly because of this, we got a big order also from Australia, another order from Finland. So it was a great experience. The friendliness of the southern people was amazing. My guys were overwhelmed and grateful for all the moment there. My guys are hardworking, so they work really well together. It was a great test.
Great. And Paul, any final thoughts?
Yeah, it was. We all who are involved in this project appreciate the DOE support to conduct this project. It was a successful field demonstration, but there are impediments to bringing new technologies to market, and this project helped to do that. So we're appreciative of that support.
Excellent. Well, again, thanks to all three of you for joining me today to tell our listeners a little bit about a cool and different sort of project that is going on here at EPRI. And with that, I'm your host, Samantha Gilman, and I'll talk to you next time. If you liked today's show, we invite you to subscribe to our podcast and feel free to share with your colleagues and friends. For more information about EPRI, please visit our website at www.epri.com. And don't forget to follow us on LinkedIn and X at EPRI News. Together, we're shaping the future of energy.